Virgil Roberts. I'm chairman of the African American Board Leadership Institute, an organization that we started almost 11 years ago. I was co-founder along with Yvette Chappelle Ingram, who is just retired. And I'm happy to introduce to you all Jonathan Sandville, who is the person that we selected to lead us into the future. Tell us a little bit about your background. Who are you? Where did you come from? Where were you born? Where were you raised?
Well, I'm originally from New Orleans. I grew up there. I lived there for the first 17 years of my life. I have two brothers and two sisters. I grew up with my nuclear family, my mother, my father, my brother and sister in New Orleans, who've been there for generations. I also have family here in Los Angeles. My father was previously married, so I have a brother and sister here.
What brought you to the field of philanthropy? What happened to you?
Well, I would say it's something that was instilled in me by my grandparents. The church upbringing, if you will, and I believed in tithing and giving back to my community and supporting organizations that sort of lifted me up. So at a very early age, I was in programming with the local Urban League affiliate, which had youth development programs that sort of put me on a path to want to give back and to want to support other organizations. From there, I moved on to New York, where I got a job working with the Ford Foundation, which is the pinnacle of philanthropy, if you will. Ford at the time was a $15 billion organization. I managed a $15 million portfolio. There was a program management team that supported grantees in the U.S., Latin America, and West Africa, managing 175 grantees, if you will. And that sort of exploded or multiplied my knowledge of philanthropy, my knowledge of giving back, my knowledge of supporting communities in need.
Well, tell us, where did you go to college?
I went to undergrad at Clark Atlanta University. I played football there, studied political science. For me, it was a phenomenal experience with all the other schools that were there: Clark, Morehouse, Spelman, Georgia State, Georgia Tech. So it was a college community, and I felt supported, empowered, and engaged because everyone was doing the same thing that I was doing, which was wanting to do our best and be our best. In grad school at Columbia University, I pledged Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. I'm an active member.
So tell us about grad school. You went to Columbia. What did you study?
I studied international educational development and focused on educational programs abroad. I also, before that, did a master's degree in international economics at the University of Ghana. So my earlier career focused on international efforts, international development, international education, and engaging international communities to strengthen their educational programming.
So did you spend time in Africa?
I did. I've lived in Ghana, Togo, Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal, Nigeria. I worked for UNDP, which is the United Nations Development Program, and I worked on the Governance and Democratization Project with the University of Ghana, which took me throughout West Africa.
Oh. So Ghana is a country that I really enjoyed. Ghana felt more like authentic Africa, and very welcoming to African Americans. Tell us about your background in philanthropy. You mentioned that you worked at the Ford Foundation. Talk about some of the other nonprofit organizations you work with and the experience you gained in working with those organizations.
Sure. So my work at Ford led me to do more work in the philanthropic sector. I moved on to an organization called the Community Healthcare Association of New York State, which is a primary care association. There's one in every state in the country, representing Medicaid, Medicare recipients, homeless populations, and really supporting the city and state departments of health, so community health centers, making sure that residents and non-residents received quality health care. From there, I moved on to the National Urban League, where I worked under Mark Morial, who I see as a mentor. He was a former mayor of New Orleans, and for over a decade, he's led the National Urban League. I was a fundraiser there, and I worked on the development team responsible for engaging foundations. So my work at Ford led me to the National Urban League to grow the National Urban League's relationship with foundations. So I really got an opportunity to shine and to do great work at the National Urban League, and I think that certainly has been a huge part of my my growth and my trajectory, being that that's where I started. I started in the education and youth programs as a child at the New Orleans Urban League, and then went to the National Urban League. I've also worked with a place called Liberty Science Center. It's one of the top 5 science centers in the country. The work that I did there was also in development. I was the vice president of development, and I was responsible for engaging communities of color, for focusing on STEM education, empowering places like Jersey City, Irvington, and Newark, and bringing the science center into those communities to support young learners at all stages of their life.
Now we got you here at AABLI. What attracts you to AABLI? Tell us what you see with the organization, where you'd like to take it, what your vision is for the next 10 years of the African American Board Leadership Institute.
Sure. So another thing that also brought me to AABLI, I've done work with organizations like the NAACP Legal Defense Fund and GLAD, focusing on equity and supporting individuals so that they're empowered to do their best and be their best. AABLI is really about diversity, equity, and inclusiveness. So all the issues that corporations have, that nonprofits have, we bring a solution to the table to support their specific needs. So racism is a huge issue that won't be resolved tomorrow, but there's small wins that we can achieve by partnering with corporations to help them to think about their diversity, equity, inclusiveness at the highest level. So strengthening boards by placing highly competent, highly qualified board members on corporations, and also engaging the corporate foundation so the nonprofits that they serve can have adequate board members, so that there's a way for us to play a role in that. And for me, it's all about equity. It's about thinking about how we can solve some of these problems in a way that makes sense and that's realistic and feasible.
So, yeah, you've been around, you're a dreamer. Tell me what you think you would like to see AABLI doing 5 years from now that it's not doing now.
Well, I think there's a number of things that I'd like to see AABLI do. First of all, we're on a path of growth, looking to be a national organization. So I see our programming in a number of states throughout the country. So possibly offering opportunities not only remotely but physically in New York City and major markets like Dallas and markets in the Southeast and the Midwest to service corporations all across the country. So that's one thing that's really important and key for me. And I think training, strengthening and growing our training efforts for corporations and for foundations. Foundations who look to service the needs of their boards as they want to diversify their boards and to strengthen programming in local communities for the nonprofits they serve. I see us performing that at a much significant level and rate over the course of the next 5 years.
So you mentioned that you're a football player. What do you do for fun?
I enjoy exercise. I'm not a runner, but I love sprinting. I weight lift, obviously. I'm in the gym a couple of times a week. And like most folks, I've gained those COVID pounds. So I'm focusing on getting that off and focusing on my health. So I do that. I also like to travel for fun and explore new things. I cook a little bit. I'm also a novice gardener. So those things help me to relax and connecting with friends.
You worked here for GLAD with Los Angeles. What do you know about the Los Angeles community? What do you want to learn about the Los Angeles community?
Mm-hmm. Well, I know that the Los Angeles community is a very giving community because I worked at GLAD as the Chief Development Officer. I partner with corporations like NBC Universal, Comcast, organizations in Dallas like Neiman Marcus, a number of the studios and network execs. In fact, I remember quite vividly Rich Ross, who was former chairman of Disney. He was very supportive of my work, and I would meet him quite often at Disney. So I'm appreciative for that. I know that the community is very active. This is an activist community in Los Angeles. In terms of all that's happening, people are very thoughtful. They focus on specific issues. I think one of the things that stands out is, after the murders of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, you saw young people take the streets from Black Lives Matter and other organizations. So what I see from this community, it's not a community that's just waiting for things to happen. I think they're engaged, they're active. And one of the things that I would want to learn more is how to really be engrossed in all the communities that LA has to offer, because we're so wide and we're so diverse. And from one side to the next, it looks very different, from Santa Monica to Culver City to North Hollywood to Hollywood. So I plan to be more engaged in all that LA has to offer locally and beyond.
For those who don't know you, they're going to take a look at this video and try and get to know you. What would you like them to take away from this conversation about you, where you are, who you are, what your hopes and dreams are for the future?
I would say that I'm a servant leader, so I'm here to serve the community. I'm here to serve the organizations and individuals that need our help. I would like to engage corporations and foundations in a very meaningful way. Having been a foundation employee, I understand that world quite well. So I would hope that what I'm able to do is to engage funders, local funders, in the work that AABLI is doing so that they can help us to move the needle in a much more meaningful way. I know that they have an interest because we see them writing and talking about the issues that they grapple with in terms of their boards, wanting to make their boards more diverse, wanting to make nonprofit boards more diverse. So we play a huge role in that. I really want to engage the political community as well to figure out how we could achieve the legislation that's been signed in terms of getting African Americans and other ethnic minorities on board. So there's more than 620 corporations here in LA. I think we have a lot of work to do, and that's one of the things that I want to help move forward.
For those people that are our alums, our stakeholders, people who've been engaged with us over the last decade, do you have any words you want to say directly to them?
I do, yes. So I've had a chance to look at some of our alums and to be a part of their onboarding for a board leadership program. We have a very robust group of young professionals, mid-career professionals, and advanced individuals who are very talented. They're respected leaders in they're leaders in their respected field of work, if you will. And I'm looking forward to engaging them in a very meaningful way, whether it's through webinars and conversations with them and letting them know that I am one of them. I've been one of them. I've served on boards before. I've served on the board of the Affinity Health Plans, which is a $1.4 billion health plan in New York City. I would like to see our alumni take an active role in our growth and development. This is their organization as well, and they play a huge role as they're all throughout the country working in various organizations. There's things that they can do to really strengthen our partnership, to strengthen our relationship with their respective corporations, with the communities that they're working and serving in. So I would love to play an active role in engaging them in that. And for our founding board members who have been around for the last decade, who helped us start this organization, I look to them for their thought leadership and their support, and to engage them in a way that makes sure that they're part of this next 10 years of our growth.
So thank you all for watching. Check our YouTube channel, check our website for continuing information, for more information about AABLI and the things that we hope to do. Thank you much for watching.